الشيش وشين خاصتي التكتوان يا يجي دو داتوي يتخوتنك Chukateen أو دو إني جخوني أختوسكو يين كخوني وي Lingít ناخ ستي شكخ أديخت ستي يا أخ تلا دو إيش دو تلا دو إيش شكخ أديخ وستين دانا واق أودو ساي أخ تلا دو إيش شكخ أديخ وستين أن كدختين يدو ساغن أوه دقيقة دي أوه وتو آدن شقوت خوان woosh daséix'an ʼatudli.átk ʼatudli.átk ʻatdugu kunachwe Eil'ká Lingít hastu tuasagu Daḳká ch'a ch'a ye awe hastu tuasagu ajwe woosh daséix'an Daḳká de haswu aden has awa ya gwall llaqt gwall yanaayí ʼatudli.átk ch'a tléixʼ gwall nanaayí ʼatudli tléixʼ adlin hastuji tléixʼ ghat qusti Daḳká ch'a hatuasaguan ya tawe gli gli tawe shady ch'a dugu Judechi uhan Daḳká Lingít ch'a Eil'ká Lingít janmu awe ʼatudlunan awe we woosh daséix'an tlach kunach wukei tléixʼ Shgaté achina kawanik danawaq awe du ina kawlanik ye Daḳká Lingít ch'a Eil'ká Lingít tléixʼ hawutian hasa kawshikit ch'a hatlatki ch'a aqa awe ginji chwanani ch'a washtan chwanani Shgateen wujin chawastian itch ch'an ch'a atlen ch'u hastu tuasaguan Daḳká de haswa aden ye awe danawaq ch'agudach tlach ch'agudach ch'a danawaq shukwa achwasaku John danawaq itch Aston Hammond ye yawaqa ye ayawsaqa Shgaté Gaude kakkwahid we tléixʼ shukach adi Daḳká de kakkwagud aqa itch qonnej tléixʼ hakakwati chuchagu qaquyach ye awe khana kawanik tléixʼ ch'a awe kachwani kada adatawe yutakhwatan ch'a ayayagi qonnej ya Daḳká dekhwa qokhun ch'a iqhallatut aqa awe we shukwayagi UConn College you do a saga at we itikakriachat yati we woosh kagate to the atchat khachit wo qonekha iqhallatu aqa awe ya akhuni akhantu wakat akhani awe daklawidi akhtu wukew khosatini wasa eti halqa helwasa khatu tiqa akhlilk qoneya ya nanan tléixʼ tuash kutlel khaqinach yuqewatani just Lingít ya akhla khat hatuasagu du khandi yigudi qallwujin yuqagakhilaat خطقا هيقوتي خسكو جوكساتو هيتي شوتين هو أوي دخن خجود دخن خقخ أقا أوي خخووس يتوجسكو أخين يجودي وتلقى ديسلين شاوت هو أوي يا نانان قجسلنجد خينخت توتي هقا يقوتي أديو تو قخ ناك داكي هيتي كشس إخوة أدوي دخن خجود يا أوي خدخ إيووز كشكادي خدسك وقاق أدي أوي يوغي وطانية أخ إيك أجاوة خدخا تايك إدتخن خوني خدستي زيسكو كي يرلون تايك جس ياغي جخني هيوغي تنجدا جلد كد أخ قتل يا كدين كخوز يكي جس وجين يوغي أختلا آد ياغ دي أوي سقني أيا وجين يوغي أختلا آد يقص خنتين خدخي ووز قوجة جاوة قخوستين تتواسقوه سخن داقي يوخي وطاني أجوي يوخسقها كلايك إييشي أي خد أقاوي وتوشوق وتوشوق وجين يوخ أو توشا أتك قل جن كارقا كيجن وننس قل كيقها وننس وانني سوي يوخسقها ديكوا قود تلقاق إنخ قنخوي أخ وقت تاقت أو تلقين خييوس يخد يوسقها. Now I know I'm not alone. كخ أختو ونيك قا أختو تلقي أكاخوي أدي شتودلتو يا هيوغ تنجي أدخ أدي سلين دي وتو قوخ أختليلكو هس وجين يو هس خقخت هس خاول أتكن أداتوي واسا أتكك ونقان ناناayí يدوز هيهي خدقا هستكاني أجوي جس وين داك ياخ خنوك خن هسكاونيك جاكود إتكادي أدكختو جس وجين يخقختو شا ويدو تلقا شاوت ينوات أوي كثل هو أوي تخوسك هوجن أقا أوي خدخ إيووز ونخسيا يقيتي تلقا قينخ ونخسيا يقيتي تلقا أنتين قائي خشتو شنجت هقا شنجت تجيسكو أقا قني أخين يقيوتن شنجت قينخ تخوسكو جان قوة إين يقيوتن وجين يقاو تلقا أتك جلت كتت دات حقستي Guksake uwat, guksake khatuwat. Tatyak satu kosti. Guhan se kwash ke khawnes kanach. Wujin yu khatuwat atke. Da kasuwat we itikach. Yeni hasjiwne ada. Wujin yu khatuwat atken te katuhan. Akakone adach. Kwaat atwatu. Tuwahun atach garte kuch aqa away khat yaw saqa way shawat jaak away jaak kesh ayach yata yach aya yuchach de taan klingit geenach ya ach ish hanaqwugudi jo ya ach ish ach in khusatien ye away adelitsini ya klingit yuchatangi Gilchish أخيتي سأخي Gilchish يتواجسكو يخيتاني كوك Qoni ʼatudli.átk. Dísi kuge ʼatudli.átk. Daďká Lingít. ʼatudli.átk. Dísi kuge.
I heard something about Daḳká.
Let's translate out. Anybody, if anybody wants to say anything in Tlingit, you can. No pressure. Then we'll walk through.
Now I know I'm not alone. Yawaka.
Achuni. A katratsil kakastus Tlingit's hagukwa. Liza Bosley, you do a song.
Is that, did you burp, René?
ʼatudli.átk.
Okay.
I burped. So I started. So it's a good verb to know. It's like I sealed, like a seal in the water. We've got fun ones like that. ʼatudli.átk. You okay? All right. Well, I wanted to just share like a narrative. So that was, I guess, kind of on the spot. Usually, like, I think of stuff once I come in and we chat for a little bit. And then today, one thought, well, we're working on some stuff and working on a story this person told. And she was a great one. There's so many greats. Boy. Yeah, as you learn Tlingit, you really gotta, I guess we gotta look, maybe listen to some of these stories and stuff a bit more, which we'll do, and then talk about what it was like to visit with them, Shagun, Chukateen, whole bunch of daséix'an. There's like so many. Chukateen is gonna bring you guys into the halibut hole for a good wrestling match with Tlingit. And you're going to be just fine. We'll work on it together. So just to recap, you're doing Kristin Nach for your midterm. You have about 40 days to try and translate as much as you can. But what I tasked you with, and we can wait till Monday to, would be to listen to the whole recording. It's about 30 minutes long. I think it's about, the story is about 25 minutes long. I got it all segmented pretty much. So you could download the movie file, you could download the wave file, you could download the Elan file. You're all on the last page. And I want you to just have a goal by Monday of how long you think you can get to. And don't worry if you surpass it, great. If you don't quite hit it, fine. We'll all be just fine.
Are those posted on the class page? Maybe I just need to refresh it, but I didn't see them when I looked yesterday.
Yeah, but I didn't put them in. It's not the most well built, I guess.
It is on the page, but I wanted to give everyone an IT tip. When I went to load it up, it said it was looking for the file and claimed that it could not find the file, even though it was pointed directly at the file that had the same exact name. And so I just told it to shut up and do it anyway, and it did.
Yeah.
So don't listen to it.
Yay, you put the sheet cut button. There's windows open in here if you want to go. Sorry. We just noticed like it's getting breezy in here and there are 2 windows open. So yes. So you do have time, and what we're going to try to do is spend a couple weeks just working solo. And then so not next week, but the week. And what we'll do is I think every Monday class, we're going to try and have a conversation and then do a little bit of this transcription and translation work. And then Wednesdays, we're going to do some more sort of technical grammar stuff and sentence production. So that's the plan from here forward. And to try and really get you to internalize these verb modes, which we're going to try another exercise today. But first, let's walk through, we'll do a little summary of what I just said.
Did you say something about the land people and the ocean people working together?
Yeah, so Daḳká Lingít is inland Lingít.
Um,
Eil'ká Lingít is coastal Lingít. And so that's really important. And I think as you're going to hear that. So that's why some of the old school folks would call us saltwater people. But they Eil'ká means on the salt or on the salt water, on the ocean. And then Daḳká is on the inland.
Are you talking about like someone telling you about how people used to go back and forth all the time and then the border made it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I ever told very many people that. One day I was visiting with Shgaté, Jessie Johnny, and she wanted to do a recording, which I don't think I have anymore. But she said, and then when I did the recording, she was telling me about, I remember she had her eyes closed and she was talking. It was really neat. And she said that she was talking with Austin Hammond, who was saying the Eil'ká Lingít and the Daḳká Lingít used to be just a really united group. And then the border came and we sort of got separated. But he was saying like there was going to come a time when a Chukateen person was going to unite the people again. And then I thought about that because I was thinking about some other stuff.
You talk a lot about trading.
Mm-hmm.
Moose skins for, can't remember what it was you were talking about from the coast.
S'eek and S'eek.
And
I guess we should do a vote someday. Who's team S'eek? Oh, can we do a vote on here? Does this thing still have voting? Okay. Oh, it says polls and quizzes. Let's see. Vampire teeth. Okay, well, apparently I asked people about vampire teeth. That's the only poll I've ever done. And the question is, are they solid or are they hollow? Maybe this question is a little more substantial. Okay. Daḳká Lingít. Okay. Oh, I gotta say. Daḳká Lingít. Oops. Now I gotta have choice 1 and choice 2. Ooh, I had to make them required. Okay. And then now what happens? If I hit save, what happens?
What if we've never had one?
Oh, okay. That's a great question.
I've had one. I've had S'eek.
Now what happens? How do I? Oh, I launch it.
Oh, it's letting us.
Okay. And if you've never had one, okay. Do we know what S'eek and S'geé are?
Seal oil and is it hooligan oil?
Yes. And if you've never had either, you could just take a guess. Whether you, or you could abstain. I guess I made it required. That's not nice. I thought it was funny. So sorry.
I have a
That's salt and seal.
so good.
Seal oil is the top one. Hooligan oil is the bottom one. The bottom one is fermented. I can't answer? Okay, fine. I can answer this thing, but watch me join this poll. No, I can't. Well, that's not fair. All I could do is ask questions. Oh, it's dead. It's almost a dead heat. S'eek might be the winner. Okay.
Do you want to buy a vote?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't want to break the tie because then, oh, there it is, straight up tie. Oh no, S'eek. Oh, it's gonna pull out. I would vote for S'eek, but I have my own personal reasons. So yeah, these are the two things I did mention about bringing up to the interior. That's fun. I can ask you more poll questions. Maybe I'll ask you about vampire teeth later. I don't think they're hollow.
You think they're hollow?
There was a question like, are they like straws? And they, because when you see like a movie, it's just two holes.
Right,
It's like,
and then
well,
they can suck on it.
yeah, and this was like they pierce and then they.
They kind of
I mean, I've tried it with fruit before, where I can get my canines into the fruit, and then my other teeth, and then I can still kind of suck it. My teeth aren't hollow.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So it's
That's
probably not
bad.
like.
Yeah, they're not mosquitoes.
Yeah, right. I never thought I heard it on podcasts, but I do think I'm going to declare S'eek the winner. Okay, so yes, and I was talking about trade a lot, and that's one of the things that united us. And even after the border, there was still lots of travel back and forth for trade, things that we couldn't get on the coast and things that inland people couldn't get in the inland. And so there would be lots of ocean stuff up and come back with lots of inland stuff. What else?
Did you take seaweed?
I don't think I mentioned that, but tléixʼ and nanaayí and
I remember. Oh, sorry. Daséix'an. I remember a sentence you said, tin tléixʼ. Yeah, you said we were driving with our ancestors, and I assumed that was referring to like kind of going around to towns in the Yukon, like Daษี, but I'm not quite.
Oh, I know what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll jump forward a little bit. I went to someone's house, and they were my grandfather's people, the Daḳká Lingít. And so someone was explaining to me that in Tessin, they still kind of have neighborhoods, like, but especially if you went there, probably not even that long ago, there was the Daḳká Lingít neighborhood, the Chukateen neighborhood, the daséix'an neighborhood, the Shgaté neighborhood, and it was just where those people were and have been.
Did you also mention Cheatwood?
Yeah, because I was thinking of that story because we're doing this work with Chukateen, whose name is Jane Smarch. And so I was thinking of when I met Chukateen. It was and then I had to think of like this story that Shgaté told me, because I had gone to teach in Carcross a few times in the aughts, and we couldn't really get very many people to go. Just like 2 or 3 people would show up. And but then when I started working here, we hatched a plan to do these 3-week sessions. And so I think Sean Smith helped a lot with that in S'eek. I can't remember who all helped organize that first one, but we went, I think we started in Whitehorse, and then we went to Tessin, then we went to Carcross. I think that's how we did it. And the one in Tessin we had at Yukon College. That's when I first met Wooch, who was working at Yukon College at the time. And I taught my first class there, and we were done, and I was excited because there's a lot of people who came. And then a friend of mine came up to me and said, what'd she say? It's pretty heavy stuff.
Now I know that I'm not alone. Was that when they said, now I know I'm not alone? Or was
Getting
that?
there.
Okay.
Her grandmother was sick and would only speak in Tlingit.
Yeah, she said her grandma was dying. She said she was okay, but her grandma was dying and didn't want to speak English anymore. Was only speaking Tlingit. And would I come so I could talk to her? And it was pretty heavy. And so I knew her grandma. So I went to Martha Van Heel's house because I knew her. And then I asked if she wanted to go with me to do that. And we walked in, and I'll never forget what it was like. Because she was kind of, she had a bit of dementia, and then, she was on her way, so they probably had some different substances that they were helping her with. And when I walked in, she looked at me and she says, "A'eil'ká Lingít." We gotta translate that so everybody knows.
Are you my kid?
A'ík agawa. Ooh, we gotta go back to the kinship chart.
Grandson?
Wishkan.
Are you?
My
No.
Isn't
uncle,
my son there?
brother,
Oh, isn't that little sister?
Yeah, it's like a little.
younger sibling.
Younger sister.
A'ík. It is a female's brother.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure I heard, although I heard 15 things at the same time. I said, tléixʼ ʼatudli.átk chukateen.
No, I'm your grandson.
Granddaughter's friend.
I'm your grandchild's friend.
Ah, okay.
S'eek.
Did you hunt for a moose?
Did you hunt a moose? Tléixʼ, just tléixʼ yag.
I'm teaching here.
Yeah, no, I'm just teaching people here. K'deinkach wa'utz t'katach qatli.
Going to wash my pots.
I carefully washed all of my pots. And then I just kept talking to her. And then she had a faraway look, you know. But then all of a sudden it was like she focused, she smiled, and she said, "Chukateen."
You a wolf?
Are you a wolf?
Why do you think she asked me that?
It was flirting.
That is absolutely right. As I said, "Tléixʼ Dísi ayachet."
Not a raven.
I'm your raven.
Oh. Yeah.
And we talked for quite a while, for probably like 15, 20 minutes. And I said, I'm going to go. And she held my hand and she said, like, now I know I'm not alone. And it was just a heavy, heavy moment, but it was also wonderful just to be able to capture that and to listen to her and to, you know. And then we went to Tesla. And then we went to the house of a Daḳká Lingít leader. I think his name was Doug Smart Sr. And they were Daḳká Lingít and I'm not. And so they went in the other room to go take care of some business about ch'a, nanaayí, dot, ʼatudli.átk, like the funeral business. And there was a lady there. She was an elder. I didn't know her. And she was very nice, and she said, "Oh, what brings you here?" And I said, "I'm teaching Lingít." She says, "Oh, you know Lingít?" I was like, "Yeah, I can speak it." And then she started speaking to me in Lingít, which is always just wild. It's just wild when there's someone you don't know and they start talking to you in Lingít. And we talked for probably 15, 20 minutes about all kinds of stuff, where she grew up and and like where she used to live and where their clans migrated from. And then I talked about where I was born and how I grew up and where our people are from. And they came out when they're done with their business, and she said she hadn't talked like that in a long time, since her dad died. And I just remember thinking about like how wonderful it was to meet people in those spaces at those times, like, and just to sort of like share some thoughts with you folks about some of the reasons why we do this stuff, you know. And just give you, there was a time where I didn't know how to speak Lingít, and I probably started when I was 20 years old. I didn't know a single Lingít word, and I learned it, you know. And so I'm not trying to Shgaté, but I just want to share, like, it can happen. Like, people can do that. You can. For me, it was always drilling myself with, because we had the orange book. Do we have a copy of that somewhere online? Have I ever scanned that thing?
I think I have a physical copy of it.
Yeah.
Is that the noun book?
Yeah. I mean,
I think there is one.
let me see.
The the Summer Institute of Linguistics have it on their website.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, it had an orange cover. It was a wonderful book. It was all hand typed with, you can see the little tone marks on it. There was one critical mistake in it, and I think it was tléixʼ and janwu were flipped. So there's lots of people who learned by the orange book who would always call janwu tléixʼ and tléixʼ janwu. And then they're also ch'a and ch'a. They're also doing some translation work with the Bible. And there's a couple passages where they talk about like the tléixʼ when they're clearly talking about wanna do, because you can't herd tléixʼ. It's just not going to happen. So a lot of Shanghai people are like, wait, what are you doing? You know, and so similarly, I was working with George Davis one time, and I was like just doing all these verb drills, like I love you, I love them, I love y'all, I love them all, just running through all these things. I said, I heard you. And he said something like, ik sahat. I was like, that is not what I thought it'd be at all. I was like, I heard, like I could hear you. He goes, oh, because he was like talking about herding cats and sheep, and so I was like, well, that's kind of a fun one. Okay. Any language thoughts or questions before we move into one of our activities for the evening? Anything you've been thinking about?
I have one.
Ah.
The verb, I think ʼain, it's confusing me. And so is I think it's ʼain, and I think it has to do with gardening or digging.
Oh, I know which one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah? Okay. I'm just curious about it. Oh, okay.
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 So the part that's going to get confusing is this. If you have a verb root that's open, so this is open, okay? An open EE, don't worry about it. An open, is there another vowel? AE. An open EI, sometimes it'll close, but nothing surprising is going to happen, right? So you go yuck a, k not ʼain. Throw an N on there, no problem. And you could say ause'i, and then you could say ush. So it stay like so it stay or each. Sorry. But if you close the verb or vowel, it must become EI. So that's the part that might, so then you're going to get daséix'an, and you might look up eich, and you're like, I don't see any eich. But it's because it got closed and changed to a. And that vowel switch back and forth actually happens all the time. So if you have ch'eo, which is sand, and you contract it, you get ch'ao, which ch'ao, you gotta say it short, and you also gotta make sure you put the right sound on the first part. But that's why you say Daḳká Lingít with an A sound in there. And just like if you said a sandy point, you'd say ch'a. So it'd be, and so it changes. And that one is sort of a back and forth that doesn't happen all the time. But when it comes to the verbs, you cannot, there might be one or two that will allow you to close it and not change the vowel. But for this one, when you close it, that's why you get k'anes'ain. And you can't say k'anes'an, right? It will not allow you to do that. But I think I used one like wuna. That's one that stays because I said ya nanan, they're dying. And so this is one of those things where it changes, but there are exceptions. The other one that changes like this would be goo. I don't know if this one's going to do it, so let's go to the underline one. So this one, when you close a double O, it will go to W-E-I. That's why you say wéin. And so here you'd have, it's ashqeq. But there should be a W in there. I think it just gets absorbed. Or wooch, right? And so that's where you're getting it. Is if you close it, you're going to get a W-E-I, just like in, I don't think it's in here. So we'll go to the verb dictionary. It's not open. So there's this verb in here. Oh, did you have a question?
I was going to ask about if the AA was the only one that turned into an EIN, and then he went into the OO.
Yeah, those two will change. They'll go to EI and WEI, which is why you say ausaku, and then you say ya at nasqueni for student, and that nasqueni is from ausaku. So you say, oh, I think this is still open. So if we go to ku, to know something, whoops, down maybe? Let me sing the little song in my head. So here you have ya nachsaquain, right? And so when you close it and when you have a progressive, I don't think we should say progressive imperfective anymore. I think we should just say progressive. I think we should just say habitual. I think we should just say repetitive. And it's going to start getting us to a point where I do think it'll be easier. Ya anasqueen. So it must close. So the progressive form must close an open root. You cannot have an open root and have a progressive. So you're going to have either ya, k, or ye in front of it. You have to have na. It doesn't matter what the conjugation type is of the verb. And then you have to add an n if it's open.
Is it always an N?
It is.
Okay. And the other verb modes are just like repetitive as the.
Yeah. So if you go down here to, well, this one, let's see, go cooch, because I think I said this. I think I said kesh. I think I said huasakuchen, but I guess it should be uchsakuchen. Anya nachtla.
Yeah, thanks for answering that question. I was wondering if there is an, like, I guess the verb is there one with a, I guess, thematic prefix k? Because I'm transcribing something right now, and I think that's what I'm hearing is like kush ain and kunas ain, but yeah.
Kunas ain. There is this one, which is k. There's one with k, which is for the daybreak. And then this is the second verb that will send us into here. So let me go. So now we're looking at the verbs. And we've got this one to sit, which is, we usually know as like ch'a, i. This one is to swim underwater or to poke your face. It's face poking. I don't know, putting your face through a window, kissing, investigating. And that's going to be yaudza'a, but it's going to be yanas ain. And then we get the growing ones. But there's this one, which is, you would say chinas ain, which would be they're starting to celebrate it, setting a day aside for it. And those are the ones that I know. I guess if you had something like this to hinder, you could have ch'a in front of that because it's transitive, but then there's no S classifier. But you could, I guess you could also have with an S, like this one has a S plus D classifier, so you can send me the audio too and I can listen to it sometime and see what I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
So another one would be swimming. So this is for a school of sea mammals, a pod, or a flotilla of canoes. So a group of boats or school of killer whales, a pack of, I don't know, what do you call a group of sea lions? They're not a pod? A gang? But this is Yawagu. And there's a song that goes, Ye ya yana gwain na he de ki, and that's this, yana gwain. Ya yana gwain. The killer whales are swimming in a pod. It's good questions. Anything else?
And I bring us back to the open verb roots.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I heard you say something about the EE and the EI being an exception in some case. What is the exception?
Those ones, you could just close them.
Oh, without
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's it.
okay.
Like you don't have to worry about the vowel changing shape.
Okay.
And then I guess there's, what is that one for? It's like, what's the gathering verb?
Is it ha or no?
Yeah. So you could,
Kausiha.
yeah, kausaha. So I think you could say you would end up with, because there's another one too for like a in. But you should end up with hain as well. And then, so here's digging and gathering, and we need an S classifier. Here's picking it up. Well, I guess we'll just look in here. And we should get, so we're getting heich, and then, yeah, so we're getting an underlined X there, which is pretty rare. Usually you just have it, it's usually an N.
Is there a reason why it's an underlined X for the imperfective?
Yes. So some imperfectives, especially for an act verb, if it's something that the action is considered a single thing, but it's made up of a bunch of little repetitive actions like digging, then it'll get that.
And that's different from like the KW.
Yeah, but sometimes that'll do the same thing. Or just a K.
Okay.
Yeah. Or just or a T as well.
Does that have to do with the underlined X at the end of the verb indicating repetition?
Well, if it's a zero, so this is na, so we should expect you a kawahake or something like that. So when we go down to the repetitive, we get you a kayahake. Okay, fine. I don't know why. And so,
does it have to?
Huh?
Does it have to do it? I just saw you scroll by. It said something. One of them said along. She's gardening along. Is that part of a different one?
It was the ya one.
Oh, okay.
Some things where the perfective means to go along doing it, or the progressive means to go along. Like you could say, well, I won't say who, but one time someone walked up to me. I was like, hey, how you doing? They said, well, I was standing with those people over there, but I really needed to fart, so I walked towards you so I could let them go. And that would be ya anakwat. And so you can go along farting or anybody could. And so some of them, when you put them in the progressive, it means to do that thing as you're going, like crying. That's another one. If you say yanasqach, they're going along crying. It adds a bit of motion to it somehow. But this one, it's pretty rare to have the double suffix like this, but it's not the only one. There's other ones that'll have this, like, and I don't fully understand that. Like so because it's a na conjugation, for the repetitive, I expect U in the front, low tone. I expect a plus I classifier, and I expect a K suffix. That's how you do repetitives for na conjugation. For a zero, so this one, I would expect it to be an underline X, but I'm going to say underline X. I'm going to say it like that. Yeah, and so there are others where it doesn't take a suffix here, but instead, and so here's your exception to the whole repetitive thing. And I guess you just have to remember this. Like, to help someone, right? You'd say, achit or achit choaha, right? Help me. You would say, do eat choaha, I help them. And then you'd say, do ich choaha, where the repetition in this case just becomes a repetitive suffix on that noun. I don't know. Okay. What do you call it? Wooshi. Is that what it's called? A wormhole? Or you just keep going further and further and further. Okay. Okay. Good stuff.
If I can't, like if I want a good resource to figure out the progressive, where's the best place to go, do you think?
That's a good question. Like, I really need to finish some of these texts that I was working on, because I'm trying to just do very straightforward explanations of them. I guess
sorry, I would go to Eggleston, that 575, like the verb modes. She goes through them pretty quick and dirty, But there's a lot of stuff she doesn't cover there. But I think if you just want to have 2 or 3 pages on the progressive or kind of any mode, that's like for a brush up or whatever, But I'm not sure what else really,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of, so the thought with, let me put this up and then I'll share it. So the thought with this one in the conjugation section was sort of like showing some examples of how they work, talking about, like, I think these 6 are probably like you really need these 6, to communicate. Beyond these 6, you start getting into more advanced forms of communication. I do think these 6 are sort of your core, certainly your starter pack of verb modes. And then it shows, like, these are your 4 conjugation spots. You can only have 3, because 1 and 3, even though they're in different locations, they're mutually exclusive. So if this one pops up, you can't have any of these 3. And if any of these pop up, you can't have that one. But the other 3 can go in combination. So the 2 spot can combine with anything. The 4 spot, you could pick one of those and they could combine with anything. And then what you end up with is certain combinations just get you to a verb mode, like ga, and this ga gets you the future. This yu gets you the perfective, right? And so, like, trying to sort of like think about how these things work. And then this gives some examples, like sleeping. And sleeping is another one that I feel like resists well, there it is right there, nanaayí. So, I mean, someone should study the vowels and how they switch and how often. And then it just gives a few sort of verbs, and it runs through examples of all the major modes. There's some additional modes outside of the ones that are listed here, but these are the ones, like if you want to just fully talk in the language and tell big stories and stuff, I do think this is what, you need to get a grasp of these. And then after going through a whole bunch of examples, what I tried to do, and I did this a couple summers ago, I think 2 summers ago maybe, well, not 2, but summer of 23, was I sat down and I said, well, what if we thought of these things in terms of modes and submodes? And the reason, like, so a perfective, you add the perfective marker, you have a +i classifier. I'm going to have to change my system. It looks like a number 1. Sorry, it's a +i. So that's your perfective. You could build a negative perfective off of that by adding tléixʼ and putting the Eil'ká in there, and the classifier goes to 0. Or -i, sorry. And then your dependent, or what we often call a subordinate clause, which I guess I should call that, is you have the Eil'ká, the perfective marker, a -i classifier, and a relational suffix at the end. The decessive, and so, but basically this is saying if you can build a negative perfective, which I guess these should be indented more, because these are negative perfectives, and then you add this suffix, and now you've got a whole other mode. But if you could say tléixʼ awasku, they don't know. Now you could say yak awasku, it's good that they know. And you could say awaskuan, they used to know. And you could say tléixʼ awaskuan, they used to not know. And that awasku, that prefix has not changed at all. And so here's the future, and you can have future decessive, and you can also have, I guess I didn't add it here, but you can have future subordinative. Like so, you could say kekwak ye'ikkwasatini, it will be good when I see you, right? And so both of those are in the future, and the second one's tied to the first one. The imperative, but this does not, so this shows you though, the one thing that this chart leaves out is stem variation. And so that's covered in the next chapter after this. So I guess the conjugator is maybe your best sort of go-to guide, because this is intended to show you like what goes into the prefix. This is what goes into the prefix. And so when we go down, like here's the progressive. So if it's a 0 or na, you have ya in the preverb. If it's ga, you have to have k. And if it's ga, you have to have ye. So you say ye undagun. It is sun shining. But there's a place name, which is anach ya undagun ya, because the sun breaks through ya undagun. So those are slightly different verbs. So then I guess switching to the conjugator in terms of thinking of this stuff, which I have kind of a related question. I know we're probably getting deep into the S'eek, which is the tall grass under the water. But we'll just look at the progressive here. And so this shows you the name of the verb mode, a rough sort of translation of it. And then when you go down, this shows you, I guess the one thing that this doesn't list though, is that an open stem needs to close, which maybe doing these little cards when I was thinking of them. I think I did these the same summer. I think I did both of these the same summer.
Well, it shows the N at the end of if it's open.
What's that?
It shows the N at the end.
Yay! I've done the thing, okay?
Good job.
But like I thought of this one, so again, Woo gets credit for this one because I had what turned out to be my last conversation with Shgaté. He was one of my favorite people, and he let me record a lot of Tlingit. Woo was there, and on the ride home on the boat from Skagway, I was like, what if I could create like little cheat sheets for verb modes? and it includes stem variation up on the top right. To look this up, you say if you have a zero classifier verb, any of them. So you want to say they are walking. If you say they're walking towards it, ade. The day means it's got to be na conjugation. Same with dach. So you're going to pick ya. So you have ya, na, gut. So this says you say ya, na. And what this one on the right shows you is what that prefix should be like. And we know that's going to be short and high. So we could look up here and see what the root is going to be. So we say, oh, ya na gut, yan gut, ya ni gut, and ya ana gut, because it's a crazy motion verb, and that means a person is walking. But you couldn't pluralize those because it has to switch to ot, but it can. So same thing, it's going to be short and high. There's no starting consonant, that's fine. Yan to ut, yan ye ut. And then you could say ya ana ut, or you could say ya hasna ut. So I guess this is maybe there's no text though to describe what it is and what it does and blah, blah, blah. I do want to sort of type that up, but I do agree. Eggleston's dissertation is really good for that. But just like the vision is that there would be a text that describes that stuff, and then this would be like your cheat sheet. And the question I have for you to get us out of the deep, deep waters, there's an opportunity, I believe, to print and give away 500 copies of the dictionary and also the Conjugator. And the Conjugator will probably be spiral bound with a hardcover so that you can flip the pages back and forth, probably with tabs that separate all the verb modes. I don't know if the tabs will say the modes on them. That would be kind of dreamy. And then the dictionary could be either soft cover or hard cover. Oh, it's time for another poll. Okay, hold on. Two polls in one day? Oh, that poll's over. That's a tie? I'm breaking the tie. It's Hooligan Greece. Champion, gold medal. Okay. I got to share the results. And now I need to go back. Okay, so if I did a new poll, and I'd say Lingít dictionary, choice 1, dot yachsa way. What should the book be like? You can do, I'm just doing these alphabetically, hardcover or softcover. Acquired. Save. Is that what I do? Didn't I just do this? Now what do I do? I click save like 10 times. As meeting poll, I guess. I don't know what that means. Launch. Okay, sorry. Stop sharing. No, not very. Okay, there. Hardcover or soft cover. And I guess if you could just tell me.
Would be more durable.
Okay.
But a soft cover easier to carry around.
That's true. Sorry.
Okay, no, that could be one for each.
Yeah.
I absolutely destroy every single book that I own in my backpack unless it's hardcover. It'll just get incinerated, ripped apart.
I imagine it won't be easy to get another copy.
Well, I think maybe 5 years from now. But I do think we're probably going to run both. And so we found a book printer that I think is going to be great. Although it's overwhelming because they're like, look at these 700 different types of paper. I'm just like, no, I have too much to think about. Okay. That's 7 to 5. hardcover is back in office for 4 more years.
Kunay,
Ah,
I got your first edition here.
oh, yeah,
It's
okay.
in, well, it's UK, but it's in 4 pieces already, eh? So,
Well, number one, like that is not a high quality book printing place. So we are
okay,
those won't
okay.
work again. So the soft cover will be sewn and then glued in, so it will be way more durable than that one. Like I could tell as soon as I got it that it wasn't going to be something that lasted very long. My verb dictionary lasted me a long time, but did fall apart. And so these are some things to think about. So we'll probably be the book of themes, the dictionary, and the conjugator, probably this is going to be the set of 3. Probably also rerunning Chukateen because that one went through the same publisher as the other one. So, okay, in the last 10 minutes, I want to show you like one other thing that I was messing around with this idea before. Oops, hold on. Let me put this. Follow my steps. This goes up here. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Yes, it's a great idea for doing common verb roots and really trying to just mess around with them. Because what I thought here is, so here's the example. So using this, like the Google Sheet is great because I think we can all do it together. Like I can say share, and then I could say, oops. I think this gives you editorial access. And but the thing with doing the Google Sheet is you can't see where everybody's mouse is or something. But so the other thing with the Google Sheet is when I paste it in here, I lose my colors on my verb theme. So you have a verb theme with no colors, but there's the object. It's a D+0 classifier, Duke. It's ch'a, state verb, which means I got a little mistake on here. And so the goal here is to have you, so what you're going to see is you'll see the English and they'll say, okay, we will become whole. So I'm going to say, okay, it's ch'a, so it's a future, so it needs to have yay, which I just fixed. It has an object, so we are ha, so I grab that, there's these little drop-down menus, right? And then it's a future, so I need to put ga in 1, in 2, ga in 4. The classifier needs to be da. The stem needs to be long and high. The stem is only talking about vowels. So then this drops us down here, and I get ye, ha, ga, ga, da. So then I know that that comes together as ye, ha, guch, da, duke. We will become whole. We will heal. The mechanics here is when you have ga, ka, this is where the contraction happens. And what must happen is you must pull this letter A, which changes the ka to an underline X. That will happen every time you pull that letter A. That's where you get guchta. Then you should be able to see that. And then somebody should be able to do this one. Tell me what you think it should be. So here's the theme. It's object, subject, S classifier, ku, which is a fading verb root. It's a 0, so it's a 0 open. That's what you need to know. So what kinds of things do I need to put in there to say you know it? Yeah.
There's a doll on the object.
Oh, there's not one in there?
It's a prefix object. No. Shouldn't it be that next box over? prefix object.
Oh, yes. What am I doing? Okay, there. Which I guess, okay, so I do need to edit that, so I can delete that one.
Okay. S'eek.
And I need to edit this one so that I can add another item and make it ah. And then this needs to be just, because you should just pick one or the other. Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay, and 0 open. This is perfective. Does anybody know what my stem should be?
Long and low.
I will accept long.
Long and high.
It has to be long and high. So all 0 open perfectives are long and high. Everything else is long and low.
Okay.
So then there's nothing there. We did get long and high. Anybody want to combine it for us? Isaku, right? So that we just put this thing together, right? But so this will show us what those parts are. So we do have contraction here. We have 3 things. So in this case, I and si in Northern Tlingit cannot contract. So what happens now is this letter U will combine with this and you'll get y, yisiku. Okay. Any questions? We will know it. Oh, I gotta make this.
No.
We gotta do the components. We're not just gonna jump to it.
Oh, because it's future.
It's gotta be future. And just like seeing over and over, which spots are these in? Ga, ga.
High and long.
What's it gonna be? So here, so ga, ga, tu, si. Too many things. But the only contraction that we're going to have is, again, this letter A getting struck. That's going to be a very common pattern. And that's why you get gachtu for the future. For we will always be gachtu. Y'all will always be gachye. Those ones are constants.
So sometimes I've seen that with gachtu as a long ooh.
Okay, there's a rule there. Here's the rule. Tu is short. I want to add a line. Okay, there we go. If there is no vowel in the classifier, it will be long. And, oops, we can add, oh, come on, you silly thing. And then we could say, I is short. But if there is no vowel, it will be long. So you would also say, you say garqisaku, garqisaku. But if it was like you're gonna walk garqigut, so that would be 2 E's. Daḥku-āt, 2 O's.
I thought in the future it's always an A instead of an I classifier.
Good catch. champions. Woochie neje gachtune. Can we do another one? Object, subject, S classifier, ch'a. That ch'a is pretty important for this. I will see it. There's ga. There's there's ch'a. And we should have, yep, ch'a.
No object.
There's a no. Oh, I didn't fix that one. Sorry. Yep. It's a good lesson for me. Okay, it's two things missing. Well, three things missing right now. What's missing?
S'eek classifier.
We have to have ye. Then we have to have sa. And now there's only one thing missing.
Longer than high.
Yep. Okay. Anybody want to put it together for us? So here, as far as your combinations, there's some things that are going on in terms of our contraction. This letter A is getting cut. When you cut that letter A, this will change to a K every single time. Ch'a plus ch'a will equal ch'a. That will happen all the time. That is another constant in contraction. The last one is Whenever you have or y and ch'a, that will usually jump even all the way over here and get on the other side of hua. But in this case, you get sa. Chukateen. Questions or thoughts?
What caused the first G to turn into a K? Because in the previous one, it was around a U as well and then turned into a K.
Yeah, so this one, it's saying, well, I can just contract this one.
Okay.
You can't pull this vowel with t. It will always be gachte. That's just one of the patterns. But once you start getting into this one, this will cause, because ch'a is a little bit flexible. So ch'a says like, yeah, like you could throw the perfective or irialis on the other side of me. I don't really care. It can even sometimes get down to just the underline X, I think. And maybe. But t is a more rigid one. And so you got to have gach t. And ye is another rigid one. Ye will never change. It's got to be gach ye.
So if it was we will see, it would be gachtusatin.
Yep. But ye, you can't forget the ye in this verb.
Ye gachtusatin.
Ye in this verb. Ye gachtusatin. And that's why you'd say ye woosh gachtusatin next week. Any other questions before we go? I was hoping this would help. I just keep trying to think of different ways to like visualize it, let you put it together yourself. We could do like 100 of these different things just to see like there is a process. And what we're trying to do is internalize all of this. And I think there's kind of a few different ways to do it. Like you can memorize all of the prefixes. Like you can look at the prefix tables and you can memorize them. And but you can also just sort of see what are the mechanics going on. So you can say, oh yeah, I just changed ch'a to t, but that means it's got to trigger its contraction in a different way.
Yeah, I think this will help quite a bit. I think, would it be possible for me to copy this and just like put like 10 or so verbs in there and then just kind of see if I can figure it out and then check my answer?
Yeah, so my preference for that, if you can make Google Sheets on your own, is you can either make a go file, make a copy, or you can download it as like an Excel file if you have Excel. I mean, you could, like, I would rather not open this up and see like 20 different ones here, but because we're just going to start running, like I'm going to add 4 more of these for next week for us to do. But I'm also trying to think of like, is there a cleaner way to do this? Because I still think this is a little bit clunky. Like I like things to be a lot cleaner. I was trying to get it in a slideshow, but the slideshow doesn't allow you to do a drop-down menu. So if y'all are techie gadgety people and you know others techie gadgety people, brainstorm, let me know what you think. But I think for now it does the job. Like, and also like, you know, just adding these things down here was kind of fun to find out how to get in these spreadsheets and figure out how to do that so it populates. And this one too, like if you put 2 of them in there, it adds a space between them. So that was kind of fun to figure out how to do that. You okay? She's playing. Huh?
Will you put these links in the in our class thing on the website?
Yeah, I'll put a link to this, and then I'll at some point, probably before the weekend, my goal is to create a numbers version of this and an Excel version of this, which might be easier. But then I'll just keep thinking of like, what could this be? Like I just keep thinking of, you could write a computer code that does this stuff for you, but I don't know. I think don't let the robot conjugate. You conjugate. Be the conjugator yourself. And so my goal with all of this stuff is to create enough, I don't know if I could do it, but create enough resources that eventually you don't even need the resources. You just need that book of themes. And then you say, I've got 1,000 verbs right here in my pocket. I'm ready to use them. Okay. Anything else? Stay awesome. You wish.
Sure.
Good.